What's going on, everyone? Chris Matt coming at you today, keeping the spooky season alive. We are going over the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Gold Label, DC vs. Vampires Joker, and Nightwing. I was very much on the fence when I saw both of these figures, but I'm really starting to enjoy them after doing some awesome photography with them. If you guys do want to pick these up, as I always say, first and foremost, support your local comic shop or wherever it is like to get your action figures and comics, and grab these two. Particularly, there's a Shazam version. I've seen it. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. If I should pick it up or not, I don't know yet. I grabbed him because he was on clearance for $9. I was like, oh yeah. But at the time of this recording, he is still available on Walmart's website. I saw him on Amazon, but his price surprisingly is spiking. So just letting you guys know what's available at this time. So as we see, typical McFarlane packaging, got the fancy little gold label markers. Come around to the sides. They both say DC versus Vampires. Very cool. Come around to the back, and we get that gorgeous trading card art. And I don't know what issue of the DC versus Vampires, or if this was just something custom, but I love the art there. Very beautifully done. Of course, names on the side there. Nothing on the bottoms, and I wish they would have put DC versus Vampires or some cool logo on top, but sadly, we just get the generic packaging. So, are these two awesome or not? Let's bust these wicked vampires out and get a closer look at them. Taking place on Earth 63, DC vs. Vampires was a limited series from DC Comics that ran from 2021 to 2023 with a spin-off series called All Out War. Earth 63 was relatively similar to Earth 0 in terms of history until the vampire cult known as the Acolytes of Shadow turned Nightwing into one of them. Dick renamed himself as the Grey Sun and became leader of an invasion force that slowly began taking over Earth. I haven't read it, but apparently the Joker had all of his blood drained from his body and is not an actual vampire, which is disappointing because it would have just been great to see Dracula Joker. That would have been awesome. Now, I've said this before, I'm burned out on most modern comics. However, this being a series by James Tynion IV and Matthew Rosenberg, I'm thinking I may just have to give this a chance, though I'm reluctant with the number of issues and one-shots. Let me know if it's worth it, y'all. And if you'd like me to go over it, I'll definitely check it out. But in the meantime, as for the figures themselves, let's talk about the accessories each figure comes with. So, as usual, we get the base stand, which is cool, helps especially with photography. For the Joker, this thing is the bee's knees. It's big old sledgehammer. And when I first pulled it out, I didn't know what I was looking at. And then I realized that it's the Joker's face with a very phallic nose, of course. But the sculpt on it is gorgeous. I love how it just has that look on it. Big old arched eyebrows and the big teeth. Just a gorgeous piece. And then has his initials engraved on both sides. Very beautiful piece. Nightwing, the gem piece that he comes with, in my opinion, is this beating heart. This thing can be used for so many types of props and photography, and I love that they actually made sure to keep the detail on this thing where you actually see the chambers of the heart and whatnot. It's too bad they didn't put a little bit of blood drip on it, but I'm sure since it has to be in the toy section at stores that they can't. But that heart, definitely worth it. He also comes with an extra gripping hand because the claw hand that you see here, which is nice and blurry as per usual, is just straight up claw, and he can't hold jack. So I'm glad that they gave an extra one here. This hand can actually hold in a Screamo stick. This one cannot. Now, one thing. Warm these two pieces up. When I took this hand off and put this one on, it popped this joint out. Thankfully, I was able to shove it back in, but I'm thinking I may need to glue it because, I'm a little nervous about that. So be careful. And that's one thing about these figures that I kind of get a little sick and tired of is constantly having to warm them up and have to worry about if stuff's going to break. It's just, it's exhausting as a collector. Now, the last things that Nightwing does come with, of course, is his awesome Screamo sticks. I wish that they would add maybe some dry brushing, like some silver or something, just to make them sheen a little bit more. But still, they're great. And just like every Night figure that's come before, which we'll eventually go over, finagle it with a little bit. And I'm glad that unlike previous ones in the past, I'm glad that there's actually weapon storage. So thank goodness for that. Let's talk about the paint apps. Now, this one in particular, I love the blood on the uniform. It just adds a little bit extra more to the, instead of just being a straight repaint, which I think, not 100% sure, but I think this is the body mold from the original one that came out a long time ago with Batgirl and the Batman Who Laughs. But I think this is the same mold. The blue looks great. The black looks great. So everything essentially looks the same, except for I'm glad that they made sure to make the hands look nice and crabby, or clawy if you want. I like crabby because it's like a Krabby Patty. But get those. Gorgeous. And then, of course, this old nappy face, man. I want you, my precious. Just good stuff all around. I just like that it makes it look distorted and otherworldly. As for Mr. J, now, I have said that the Arkham Asylum Joker is like the ultimate version of the Joker, like comic accurate wise. I do feel that with this one, if they would decide to re-release this body mold, if they got rid of the more Chelsea-esque grin and the blood, and of course the vampire teeth, this would be a very great, comic accurate Joker. But as it is, I love how all the discoloration around the eyes, you can actually see where skin is starting to rip off the lips, the blood, and then just a little bit extra on the shirt and the chin like he's feeding. Terrifying. Green hair looks great. Suit, just like every other Mr. J that we've seen, so nothing new there. But still, it's just how he is. And then, of course, the hands. I love that they made sure that they gave him a Krabby Patty hand. You know what I mean? Instead of just straight fists. I'm glad that these look monstrous. And then the blood sheens and the light. And, of course, the white's off to make it look more corp-esque. So a beautiful sculpt all around. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I can't complain. The purples, the yellows, of course, his fancy dress shoes, all add to this Joker. Now, for the articulation, see, I knew I was getting somewhere. Don't mind Nightwing, just let him chill. His head is, I think, on a dumbbell joint, so he can go up that much. I wish he could tilt his head backwards more, but that's as far as I'm able to get it. And of course, just like with these figures, I'm glad that this is more soft plastic, so you can actually move and get your distance around that. Upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, hand spin. Now, just like with Nightwing, you really got to warm these hands up, because I think it's this hand, I'm not 100% sure, but it's one of them where the connector, you can kind of see it there, pops out, and then I got to pop it back in. And that's another thing where I'm saying I'm getting tired of constantly feeling like I have to babysit my action figures instead of knowing that I just simply want to twist something that it's not going to snap on me. So that is just a big gripe for me, and I hope that eventually action figure companies will figure that out. Now, I'm glad that, unlike Marvel Legends and whatnot, that the joints, a lot of the joints are hidden, so that you can twist them that way. And then, of course, everything that makes him bends under his clothes. So at least it looks like one piece, and for that, I am thankful for. Legs can go out that much. Of course, soft plastic, so you can kick out 90 degrees. Has the soft butt flap, unlike Hasbro, so you can go back 90 degrees there. Double jointed legs. Does have the crotch pivot. I can't remember what it's called at the moment. Foot bend, foot down, foot up, foot twisty twist. So you get a really great range of motion with the Joker, and it's kind of the same for Nightwing. I like to make him look more like he's crawling and kind of a more zombie-esque, even though I know this is supposed to be vampire. But head goes down, head goes up. Lots of play, so you can get nice dynamic range there, all the way around, up. Double jointed. These ugly-ass ball joints, you gotta be so careful with them. But it does that, and of course the hand spinny spin. Down about that much. Back about that much, and of course he spins. Joker spins too, which I think I forgot to mention. All the way out. Soft butt flap. The only thing about the soft thing is it makes it look like he's wearing a diaper, so sometimes the joints pop up over and it looks ugly, but I'll take it because at least we get that range of motion. And I'm glad that we finally get thigh cuts, crotch cuts. I don't know what I was thinking there. Great double jointed knees. Foot up, foot down. Toe up. Toe spinny, spinny. So what you get for these figures, I'm glad that McFarlane's sort of learning from his mistakes. I mean, there are some things on every figure you're going to get that's going to drive you nuts. But compared to that first wave we got to what we have now, I'm really liking where McFarlane has taken the DC line. What do you guys think? Now to add some more horror to the scene, we have both from the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse, the New 52 Death of the Family. We have the Jokerized Nightwing and the Joker himself. Just to throw it in there too, this is the Arkham Asylum Joker that came out a few years ago. And you put them all against these creepy figures that Todd has been producing. And I will admit that when this one first dropped, as well as this one, I didn't care. I mean, I love Death of the Family, don't get me wrong, but in the comics, Nightwing never was Jokerized. The only one that was relatively close to being Jokerized was Alfred. And we'll go over that another time. But I do want to give a shout out to my buddy, Woodrum's Illustrations. He's the one that got this for me. Thank you, buddy. I will eventually go over this one and just backlog. This one I fell in love with. I do wish, however, we have gone over this one and this one. I'll put cards so you guys check them out at your convenience. But I wish instead of his regular Joker suit, which he wore at the end of Death of the Family, I wish they would have put him in the, what was on his shirt? It was like Joe Fix It or something to that degree, or Joe's Garage, where he had kind of more of a trucker's get up going on. I would have loved to see that version. Still beautiful. This one, I still say, is probably the closest. I know it's from the video game, but the closest comic accurate Joker that I've seen. This new one, this DC Vampires, if they clean up the face and get rid of the vampiric claws, I feel like this would be a great comic representation of the Joker. We will go over the regular version of this Nightwing eventually, and I want the red version when New 52 drop, but this one, along with the 2-pack that comes with Red Hood, it's becoming so impossible to find. It drives me nuts. But the ones that I have, I'm a happy little camper. We throw in that zombie Batman that we just recently went over for the Blackest Nights, and you got yourselves a beautiful nightmare shelf to just make you calmly go to sleep too. So do you enjoy any of these figures? I mean, they all scale great. Yeah, he's a little bit awkward looking with the big head, but that's the Joker. He's supposed to kind of look elongated and creepy. That's why I love both of these so much. And of course, this one with the ripped up, stapled on face, that's just enough to give you Hellraiser dreams for the rest of your life. So what do you guys plan to do with your DC horror figures? Are you going to display them? Are you going to photograph them? As I always say, we love to see pictures over on our social media pages. I always love being pleasantly surprised. Both of these figures, when I picked them up, I was like, man, they kind of sat on the shelf. But once I took them down and started kind of sticking my nose to the grindstone of photographing and really messing around with them, very beautiful pieces. One thing that I will say is be careful with the articulation and make sure you warm these suckers up, because the extra hand that he came with, the whole joint popped out when I tried to take the hand off and I had to warm it up to get it off. So I wish that these factories would figure out a way to stop making it where we have to constantly caretake our figures. We should be able to just pop them out and do what we want to do. And it's just so frustrating that as collectors, photographers, we have to go this extra step to do what quality control should have taken care of in the first place. I'll let that go because they come with some amazing accessories. That hammer is so goofy and awesome at the same time. Gorgeously sculpted. I love how they made sure to make Nightwing's face just look both zombie and vampiric all at the same time, and that little heart that he comes with. Heck yeah, I'm one happy little collector in terms of comic book and horror, because that's just both up my alley. So if you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, again, first and foremost, support your local comic shop or wherever it is that get your action figures and comics and grab these figures. Good luck with the Joker, because I know he's going to be a little bit harder to find, but definitely worth it for your DC collection. If you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little vampiric bell next, subscribe. That way, as I continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or the socials, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading. Photo slideshow coming up next, and happy hunting, everyone.